Yeah, in this video, I want to touch very briefly, and I touched on it before in a video, the differences between moderate, partial, and full preterism. And I had a comment on one of my videos on YouTube, and I thought I would make a video on it. Is partial preterism futurism? And I say nay. No, it's not. Now here's a comment from a guy or someone, Kryto Beister 666. Shouldn't you futurists be on the rooftops looking for redemption to draw nigh or something? And so my response was, as a quote strong unquote preterist, see major fulfillment, I see the Lucan discourse as fulfilled. Before King in 1971, there were, quote, moderate preterists and then preterists. Unfortunately today, because of heretical preterism, us preterists have to qualify our position as partial preterism. And so before, if you look at the discussions between dispensationalists and, say, Gentry and DeMar, do dispensationalists like Thomas Ice and other guys like that, do they call them futurists or preterists? Partial preterism is, in fact, just that. It's not futurism. Futurism would be seeing major fulfillment in the future. That's a futurist. Major fulfillment in the past is not a futurist, even though we hold out to a future bodily common resurrection, judgment of the dead, and a recreation. So I think it's disingenuous to call partial preterist futurists when in fact before 1971 there was no full preterism. Those that were preterists at that time, they were preterists. There was no qualification. Now, because, and this is a short video, now because of the fact that we have, since 1971, in Max King and the Spirit of Prophecy and his debates in the Church of Christ, I forget who he was debating, I forget the fellow's name, but since then we had to qualify it. We had to qualify partial preterism as that, or preterism as partial preterism, to distinguish from hyper-preterism, which is heresy. Anything that's hyper-dispensationalism is heresy, hyper-Calvinism is heresy. And so to distinguish between heresy and orthodoxy, we had no choice but to qualify it with partial preterism. But we're the real preterists. You guys, full preterists like to say they're the consistent ones. Well, yeah, you're consistent into heresy. I mean, I see groups all the time. I see the Adventists. I've studied Adventism. I was partially brought up in the church. They're consistent in a lot of their doctrine. Hyper-Calvinists are very consistent. Very consistent. Calvinists themselves are consistent with the Tulip. Very consistent, very logical. That's the way they think. But they're consistently wrong. They've got into heresy, extreme form of Calvinism, extreme form of preterism. So to say that preterism is futurism is disingenuous. We're not dispensationalists. We're not historic dispensationalists. We're not, preterists are post-millennial and all-millennial, but they're not just straight up all-millennial, which sees like no fulfillment pretty much, barely any fulfillment. That's a futurist. We are preterist. We are the true preterist, the historic preterist, not the extreme preterist. Consistency killed the cat. Consistency has killed the cat many times into heresy, as I just mentioned. That's about it. Just a quick video, but I've done a video on the differences between moderate preterism, partial preterism, and full preterism. Maybe I'll do a quick thing here. What's moderate preterism? Moderate preterism would be like Philip Moreau, who I have a couple of his works there, The Great Tribulation and the 70 weeks of Daniel. In the Great Tribulation, he says up to Matthew 24, verse 28 is fulfilled. And then he says verse 34 we have to take seriously, and yet he drops it at 28. That's a moderate preterist, or someone that would take it up to verse 20 maybe. That's a moderate preterist, the Olivet Discourse. And they might take Revelation 6, and that's it. That's a moderate preterist. A strong, I would consider myself a strong preterist because I see strong fulfillment in the parables of Christ, which all point to AD 70, Luke 13 to 20, Matthew 21 through 24. So you have moderate preterism, which sees a moderate fulfillment. The abomination, they might say, was fulfilled, or it might have a double application. Revelation 6, maybe, that's it. Whereas the preterist, the true preterist, partial preterist, unfortunately, we see major fulfillment, at least I do. A partial preterist will see at least Revelation 1 through 19 as fulfilled. Some will see 21 and 22 as fulfilled also, but they'll hold out on Revelation chapter 20. They'll see the Olivet Discourse. That's partial preterism. I would even go further with the parables of Christ and some other texts. Hebrews 10:29 and following, and some other passages outside the synoptics and Revelation. And then you have, so that would be moderate, partial, full. Hyper, of course, is everything's done, man. And look at the mess they have. I remember Jen Fishburne did a thing with another buddy, and this is a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago. There are 16 different variants of full preterism on Facebook, and they try to say they're united. Yeah, right. So that's a nutshell of why partial preterism, I believe, is not futurism, and a small, quick nugget of the differences between moderate, partial, and hyper preterism. Okay. Thanks for watching.